Every time I do a stream, I feel like I have to stop everything from just collapsing around me. There is an individual playing music in the bathroom, and I always get worried about that because depending on what song it is or how loud it is, I can get copyright struck for them playing it. So I really hope that I'm able to either talk over it or you can't hear it because it's just extremely frustrating. I don't quite understand some of these patterns and things that these people choose to do. It doesn't make much sense to me. But I guess the illogical doesn't make sense to the logical. So that's just the way these people like to act. The last 2 days have been extremely explosive in terms of events happening on the world stage, and it's kind of interesting because I remember when I would first start covering the news, I would always talk about domestic stuff, things happening in the U.S., and then only if there was because I remember I didn't really talk much about Brexit back when it happened, and one of the reasons for that is because as I've mentioned before, I'm just not into the politics of other countries. Like I'll know who the head of state is, maybe some major figures in the government, but at any given time, you can't expect me to just be familiar with, which I don't feel bad about at all. Because, like I said, if you go and look at most Americans and see how many people they can name, foreign leaders and different heads of state in other places, you'll be shocked at the what's the way of putting it, at the lack of knowledge. Because I remember they did one poll where it was like half of the US couldn't name a single Supreme Court justice, which I thought was really insane and very depressing. And like, you have these nine people, and I understand that every couple of years one of them leaves or retires, but at any given time you have these nine people who will stay on the court for several years. I think people should know who they are. Um, you know, even if they're not what do you call it? They're not into the new, and I've said that before. I think any person that lives somewhere, like for example, if you live in my state of California, you should know who your governor is. You should know who your two senators are. You should know who your congressman is. Um, that your president, obviously, the Supreme Court justice. Like it's not that big of a group to remember. It really isn't. It's like, and remember, these are people who usually stay there for years, so it's not as if they're just changing every 5 seconds. So that's why my sympathy for them is so limited because again, they have these phones and these other devices where they can look this stuff up whenever they want. And it's always really comedic to me that people have a hard time knowing about this stuff when it's so readily available. I guess we can start with Johnson. So I'm not going to talk about him for too long because we have the other thing that happened. Um, he came into power, right before the whole virus saga started, and it's kind of funny how like his tenure is pretty much a mirror of Theresa May's, where they were there for what 2 3 years, and it's just scandal after scandal. Except in his case, I think it's a little bit worse because of all these resignations. Um, and there is something to say about the integrity of the people in Britain's government, because when the US has politicians that are ineffective or screwing up, people will stay on board for until the ship has completely sunk because they're trying to get some money, or some other type of deal, write a tell-all book and be there for the experience of watching everything just implode. Those politicians in Britain were like, yeah, we're not doing this. You can have your garbage, government. And I really do respect them for that, just being able to walk away. um but so I thought it was just the resignations, but it's also some other scandals with somebody that he supported who had allegations of harassment levied at them, which I'm not entirely familiar with. I know his dad has some harassment allegations against him too. This 80 something year old man apparently was touching on some lady. Um, but it's so interesting how like that really did for me happen because I saw that there were several people it was two people resigned on one of the news stories I saw a few days before this. And I was like, okay, whatever, because as again, because of the US and me being more familiar with how we work, we have resignations in government all the time. Um, you had people who worked for Trump, for example, who weren't even there for a whole week before they left. So it's that it didn't really like register to me as some big major thing to be worried about or to take notice of. I just see the headline because it's a fact that most people will just read a headline and they won't actually read the story, which I do that if it's something I'm not interested in. No, I was really surprised. I was not expecting him to leave that quickly. And then they're talking about him wanting to stay on long, because he's like, I'm gonna stay until we find someone else to take my position. From what I've heard on the from their media, apparently one of the reasons that he might want to stay on is because at the end of the month there's going to be some celebration at the prime minister's mansion, or the place they get when they win the office, and he's going to throw some party over there. Already has some party planned for some I was like, wow. So one of his reasons for wanting to stick around for a few more weeks is to have this goofy party. Oh my god, there it's just a bunch of buffoonery. And I can completely believe it because a lot of these people are petty enough to do something like that. No, it's definitely unaddressed, unchecked behavior. But you notice that with most political parties, as long as you seem to have a decent approval rating and they're not really getting that much pushback from their constituents, you won't see people in the party go after their leader. They won't say to them, "Hey, you're messing things up. You need to leave," because they're cowards. Which is why I was saying that I was surprised by all these members of his cabinet that were resigning abruptly, just back to back, because they were pretty much saying to hell with this. So they really crippled his government to show that it was unmanageable or something that they shouldn't tolerate anymore. Um, God, I wish Corbyn had won. I really do. Because I remember when he lost, everybody was saying, this is why we shouldn't run Sanders, because Corbyn lost so embarrassingly against Johnson. It's like, yeah, but not every country is conservative, or we don't even know what all the factors were. Because, the US will elect people that are left leaning or right leaning at any given time nationally. There are a whole bunch of other factors that go into if someone is able to win the entire country over, or a majority of the country over. It could be the economy, it could be some kind of new scandal that the present person who has the same ideology is involved with. Just plenty of stuff that can weigh somebody down. So I was always annoyed by that, and I think it's even more comedic when you consider that election. It's like you guys voted for a person who was going to handle COVID with break the protocols that he imposed, and then have all these scandals, including one involving his father, which would ultimately lead to him resigning after everyone in his cabinet resigned. It's comedic to, like, in hindsight, like, that's what they voted for. That's who they supported. Truthfully, I would have rather had 3 more years of Theresa May if this was if I had known what his record would be like this. And she was awful, man. She was these prime ministers, they just get worse and worse. I remember this one guy said, "Oh, it's so cool that in Britain they've had two female prime ministers, Margaret Thatcher and Theresa May." I was like, "Yeah, too bad both of them suck." I mean, you can call me sexist, but I just don't like right wingers, especially the ones that are like really hard line right wing. So that's my motive for. I'd say the same thing about Johnson. So this isn't gender related. It's just ideology I don't agree with. Um, so Friday morning, it's like 1, 2 over here. It's stuff like this that cements my disillusion with the world day by day. Now you're very inspired. It was 2 in the morning yesterday, and I was just getting ready to go to sleep, and I look on my phone. It says former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has been shot and is in critical condition. I was like, what in the world? Because in Japan, and this has been pointed out before, they have nowhere near the amount of firearms that we have. I've said before, we are 4% of the world's population, but we have almost half the guns, like 47%, which is really insane to think about. So I come back to the story maybe like 10, 20 minutes later, and it says that he died, and he's the first assassinated prime minister of Japan and since the 1930s. And then I'm just kind of sitting here a little, more surprised by this. And then I go and I look, and it says that the person who killed him had a homemade gun. He went home and built a firearm to use to shoot this man. And it's like they had security protocols around him. It's a really scary thing to think about because that's a country that is not known for having acts of violence like this. So it's going to be really interesting to see what inspired the shooter. Like what the motives were behind doing this. Of course, somebody will say they're just crazy, but I do think it's interesting to know what causes these people to act like this. Um, and it's even more disturbing when you consider that like he was. The thing is that most world leaders or heads of state after they're out of office usually don't have as many threats against them as ones that are currently in office. So I mentioned before there was a person this year who tried to assassinate Bush 43, and thankfully it didn't work because the person who did it was an idiot, and they got like they had a whole group of people they were trying to smuggle to the U.S. But outside of that, once they leave office, there's usually no one that tries to do anything because their time in the spotlight is over. You barely see or hear about them. So that's one of the reasons it was really surprising. I was expect if anyone was going to get attacked over there, would be the current prime minister. No, that was really disturbing. I was like, on Thursday you have the UK prime minister resign. And then on Friday, you have the former Japanese prime minister get assassinated while giving a speech. And it's kind of interesting because my best friend was supposed to speak to me on Wednesday. He didn't call me or and didn't even like write back or anything. And then we finally spoke a little bit on Friday. And I told him, these last 2 days have been really eventful and chaotic on the world stage. And I explained to him what happened because he doesn't. I mentioned before he doesn't follow the news like I do. Yeah, this stuff is just really depressing when you think about it. Like you have a country where people feel safe enough because they don't have to worry about getting shot every day, and then this happens. Here we go again. My God. I don't even know what to say anymore. They're all just losing their marbles. We've had this discussion before, but I've always thought it was weird how people claim they're so affluent and all this other, again, we talked before about like tooting your own horn. Oh, look at me, I'm this and that, but then they can never invest in a set of headphones. Or it's just being a douchebag because you know nobody else would go around and I mean there have been times where I was outside and you have people that will just play loud music from their car, and then they expect you to just sit there and not say anything or not get irritated when it's like extremely loud. They have their windows either rolled down so you can hear it at max volume too. I was like, I could never do something like that. Just drive around in any capacity with music that I know other people can hear at some overwhelming volume. But people do it. They treat their car like it's a damn record player. God. Yeah, man, but it's really irritating for me because I'm worried about getting copyright struck if you can hear that trash. That's very like that's gonna mess me up. So that's why it's even more obnoxious than if it was just me sitting here on a usual um, you know, day of the week. But there's always two things I can count on every Saturday. We have one of them that opens the door to announce that they're going somewhere instead of just leaving like anybody else would do. And the other one who plays some music that can be heard in at some enormous volume. But no, that's the reason I was irritated by it because that can actually mess up. Yeah. Like there's some songs if you play them, YouTube will shut off the audio for your stream. You know what I'm talking about? Where you if you play certain clips or something from a movie or a show or some type of what I'm talking about. There are certain songs where if you play them in a video, YouTube will shut off the audio. Even if you're doing a stream, suddenly the audio will be shut off. Yeah, people like being nasty, but it's also just again that stuff can really hurt what I'm trying to do here. Because imagine I'm talking and they play something, and the music makes the audio get disabled thanks to YouTube's detection system. I'm gonna be pissed. So I said, man, I wish I had my own place. I would give my right arm for my own place. Like it is so annoying. Every damn weekend, the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. But I guess you could say that about a lot of stuff. It's just needlessly repetitive. Like I was looking at my comment section maybe 2 or 3 days ago, and there was a guy who said, I guess with his attempt to be British, mate, I've been watching you for a while, and I noticed that you always wear the same thing. Is this a statement? Or does this have some meaning? I was so like just annoyed that day. I didn't even bother screenshot. I just got rid of it. And actually, what I did was I went because he's a public subscriber, which means that I can look and see when he's subscribed. Get a notification from YouTube that says, "Hey, this person subscribed to you." This douchebag has been subscribed to me since November, and up until a few days ago had never left a comment. So let's count how many months this: November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. I've been watching you for a while. That's why I can never leave a comment or come to a stream. 9 months. 9 months of being subscribed to somebody. And the first time you can ever write something to them is to say trash like that. That's why I said that, like, the problem with a lot of subscribers is they make themselves not matter because they don't support the channel that they, go and like try to pretend to care so much about. Um, which makes it to where I don't take them seriously because I know no matter what I answer, you're not going to watch regardless. It's just like that one guy that came to my stream and was talking about, I'm invested in your growth and I've been a long time sub. And in the stream, I was like, yeah, that's why we've never seen you before. And after the stream, I went and looked at my email and he only left one comment on a video 2 years ago and then vanished. And just to come back and start running his mouth on one of my streams and being antagonistic and trying to argue with me. I was like, dude, you don't matter. When you guys don't show up, you don't leave any comments, you make yourselves irrelevant, and there's no reason to take you seriously. Which is why I said the hallmark of these people leaving these weird comments is it's someone who either has been subscribed or isn't subscribed that usually shows up out of nowhere. If they've left some before, it was a long time ago. I mean, that's just what they do. There was a in my creepy boys are obsessed with me video. Um, I actually had this one comment, like the first comment that screenshotted. I made a mistake. I said this person showed up. I've never seen him again. That same person who left that comment, which was in like I think 2000, like late 2017, they came to, and I don't remember what stream it was because this is like 3 years ago. They came to one of my streams and started writing like weird stuff about. I notice you always wear the same color shirt, and I'd like to. It's like, why does this matter to you? And I remember I got rid of that person, but there was, and people thought that was just like a random neutral. It's like, no, that's the same one from over a year ago who came back and then wrote some more stupid stuff. But you see how that's a person who disappears for a year after writing a weird comment, and the first thing they do when they come back is try to restart some weird inquiry that doesn't matter. Like it's so I said, people on this website are just the bottom of the barrel. Like they're nothing. They are here to be as obnoxious as possible. They can't contribute to a conversation. Um, they're pretty much only slightly better than people that come to my video and call me a racial slur. And even then, they're pretty much on the same wavelength of those people, where they just like get caught up on something that doesn't matter, like race or what somebody's wearing, and then try to talk about that as if it's more important than what's actually being discussed. And dude, you know what's funny? I'll actually answer one part of it. Um, I don't understand why I'm not allowed to have a style. Like I look at all these chicks on the internet, and if you go and say a single thing about what any of them are wearing, people will call you sexist. They will tell you that you're slut shaming. They will tell you that she should be able to wear whatever she wants. They will tell you to focus on her as a person. You're dehumanizing, you're degrading, all of this crap. But then when they say this garbage to me, nothing. Like no opposition, no pushback. And that's why I said there's this ridiculous double standard that I'm really getting tired of. They're allowed to say whatever they want to me with no opposition from anybody. But then when they do stuff only if you do something to a chick, oh my God, let's get out our protest signs and act a fool and write 900 comments protesting what this man is doing to this woman. God, the most protected group of people on planet Earth. So I said I like consistency because I don't go around wasting my time observing what people are wearing if they're doing a video about the news. It's and there have been plenty of news anchors that were like female ones I thought looked good. Um, Usually I don't say anything about it because like they're not going to read my comment anyway. But I'll typically just keep it to myself. Like there's certain stuff to just keep to yourself. Now the problem with the internet is all the hyper focus, and again it's stuff that doesn't matter. Like it doesn't. Like so what if this person is streaming on a couch? Who cares? How does that affect you? Oh my God, this man is complaining about women. So what? Does me complaining about them stop you from getting one? And if you had one, why the hell are you watching this? So I said people just get so invested in things that have no effect on them. It's weird. That's why when I did that video on Roe v. Wade, and I was talking about how you have all these chicks who get knocked up, and when they feel like they can't afford it or they don't want it, they just go to the clinic and they rip the thing out of their stomach. They stick the thing in their genitals, and it's like nobody will criticize them for that or say, hey, you're responsible. You don't take responsibility. You need to improve as a person by not having putting yourself in situations to have children you don't want. Nobody will criticize them for that. But if you make a video where you say, I'm tired of chicks, and you lay out your reasons or you just talk, you'll have people acting like you're the Antichrist. I mean, like I just it's there's a stark contrast between the amount of vitriol you will get if you actually kill another human being versus if you criticize women who are I keep forgetting gods among men. Who we're supposed to grant some plot armor to, so whenever you say something about them, you have to retract it. Oh, I didn't mean this. I was just upset. Every time somebody asks me some weird question, 9 times out of 10, it's someone you've never seen before or you barely have seen. And if you answer it, they're never going to come back. So there's no point in even acknowledging it. Every time. Or you could say as a man that you are not interested in dating, and people will act like there's something wrong with you, that you hate women or whatever. Yeah, and I told you before, they don't really listen to what's being talked about. They just kind of come and write random weird stuff. It's like one of their favorite hobbies. Being obnoxious seems to be their purpose. Hey, hey, Justin, how does complaining about women help or advance your life? Well, how does pretending that what they did to me didn't happen advance or help my life? How does acting as if they were not this repetitive, obnoxious, annoying, undesirable, worthless group by choice, they choose to act this way, somehow helping me or advancing my life? I'd love to know, by just not saying anything about it, that's going to somehow improve things for me. And see, this is why people like Paulette don't have brains. It's clearly established that you don't have to watch stuff you don't like, but you watch it anyway. So we should actually turn the question and say, how does watching someone you apparently don't agree with help or advance your life? You must find a lot of enjoyment out of me, otherwise you wouldn't watch, right? No, no. If you talk about chicks, there supposedly is like a time limit, or you can't speak about this. This is one of the forbidden topics. Both choices are pointless. Go do something constructive with your life. Well, hell, I don't know what's not constructive about laying out reasonable critiques on an issue that affects multiple people. But I guess when you disagree with the conversation taking place, only then is it not constructive. LOL, this clown hates women and won't go get a career. So when you start doing the name calling thing, you understand that you're actually making yourself sound stupider than anyone here, right? Especially when you start putting words in my mouth. No one here, neither me or him, have said that we hate women. We hate stupid things that some of them do, but no one here has said, "Oh yes, all women are," because I wouldn't exist if my mother did the dumb stuff that modern chicks do. So you created in your head this motive that we don't have, and then are trying to make me feel ashamed of something that you yourself have never proved. Do you have a career? Can you show some proof of it? Since you want to sit here and try to critique people about what life choices, and if they're, what the hell have you ever done? What have you ever? I would love to know. And I want to. And before you go and type some random crap, actually show it. Make a video. I want to see Paulette Sherry make a video showing this career that she has that's so great. I'd love to see it. What do you mean put you on live? Go make a video. You have the same powers I have. You can go and stream on your channel. You don't need 1,000 subscribers to do that. I want to see this career. I told you, Akatsuki merchant, these people love pretending they're so successful and they've accomplished something and they're renowned. And every time they show up, you've never heard of them before. And you're always left wondering, if they're so successful and they think you're not, why are they watching you? Hmm. Too much effort when I could just show my badges. Yeah. Badges of what? LOL, let me cam up and show you easily. This is another one of their obnoxious little tactics. You can make a video on your channel. You don't need me to put you on camera. So you could just make a video and then you could say, "Oh, my video's been posted. I'm an RN." Yeah, I'm very impressed. I'm also a psychiatrist and some other form of doctor that I have. Let me think in like the next 2 seconds. I can come up with it so I can pretend to be something I'm not on the internet for Paulette. But you can make a video if you want to without me having to cam you up, and then you can send us the link, or you can say, "Hey, the video has been posted." We'll wait. We've got an hour. If I'm such a clown, then why did you want to watch my stuff? Why did you want to camp? So you like streaming with people that you think are clowns. That's you're so you've confirmed you're a sadist. She's not even saying anything. She's just getting mad and trying to minimize your character because she doesn't like your videos. But somehow she ended up on my stream. Dude, all these individuals, and really she should be the last one calling someone a clown. But they're all the same. They come and write some antagonistic comment or remark, and then when they're asked to expand on like how they are an example of this thing they claim you're not, they don't show any proof. Well, at first we were discussing the prime minister of Britain resigning, and then the prime minister of Japan, the former prime minister, getting assassinated yesterday. And then we talked a little bit about the double standards that people have. And then this individual who I don't believe is a woman. I'm just going to make that very clear because chicks, it's actually been proven, do not watch my stuff. It's always usually weird men that try to confront me and argue and have these back and forths that go on forever and ever. But that person came and started writing some weird stuff and pretending to be this successful big upshot, but they're nothing. They're just another worthless piece of garbage that tries to make people feel bad for stuff that they themselves have never accomplished. Because, like I said, if she had this productive, lustrous, amazing, iconic, depth-defying career, she sure as hell wouldn't be watching a person who doesn't have one. That's not something a normal person who's so successful would do. That's why you're never. If I do a stream about politics, you're never going to see Trump or Obama or Clinton or Bush or any of them show up because they actually have stuff to do with their lives. They don't just sit around watching people that are not successful at something they claim to be successful at. So that's just another attempt of these people to try and make somebody feel bad, and it failed as usual because they have done nothing themselves. Well, let's see if they write anything else because you know what they do. They always say goodbye and then they keep coming back over and over. We have a lot of sadists on the internet. A lot of people who say they don't like watching somebody, but they just can't stop. They just keep showing up. I already said before, my theory is that it's that same that Tony person on different accounts because they have like the same writing style, and it's always like some weird question comment that is like meant to be antagonistic. How does talking about this advance your life? It's like, well, hell, if I go and play Madden, nobody. Yeah, please do. Yeah. But the problem is if you report them, they have these worthless channels with no subscribers, no videos. So, they can just go and make another one. It doesn't matter. They just come and write weird stuff and then get eviscerated because they can't say anything that actually makes sense. So they're just a worthless waste of energy for everybody involved. No, that's the number one thing that they don't have any content or like any actual reason to even care about having a channel on here. So they make a new channel to go and write some weird stuff and then maybe get like 5 minutes of my attention and then get removed. That should be another video that we do, like these people pretending that they're so successful. Well, again, most channels on YouTube don't have that many subscribers. But what they do is they'll make an account and it'll get banned, and then it'll just come back on another one. Yeah, it's the same thing with that person that wrote those crossed out comments about how my attire or whatever. That guy was the same issue where you go on the account, there's no videos, no subscribers. It's just a garbage channel used to be obnoxious. Because these people are attention whores. They like getting any type of basically it's like this. They have no one in real life that listens to them, cares about them, addresses what they have to say, takes them seriously. So they have to come online and try to get the attention, even of people that don't even have a following themselves or that big of a following, but they have to latch on to someone else to try and get attention out of. And I don't feel bad about psychologically analyzing them because they do that. They've been doing that to me for years. So you get what you gave. Just like Eddie Murphy's dad used to saying, if you didn't give nice, you're not going to get nice. Talk about I'm an RN. It's so I will if you let me appear on your stream. No, you can make a video like I do and be like, hey, I'm an RN, here's my badges. Damn liar. Hey, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make an account. I'm an African prince. God, like who people really believe that crap. It is a clown world we're experiencing, either real or digital. But my favorite part is that she actually tried to say I was a clown. I was like, "Ho, you're on my channel watching me pretending to be this big success when you're nothing. That's why you know who I am, but I don't know who you are." No, like what a joke. And I'm going to keep swearing this. People who are actually successful are not watching streams to harass people. You think if I had a wife or a girlfriend, I would still stream because I stream about all kinds of different topics. But you think if I had a wife or a girlfriend, I'd be watching videos from men about like how they can't get what's no, because that wouldn't appeal to me. And if I did watch that stuff, I sure as hell wouldn't go. I recommend that you go to the gym. Oh, you want me to show my muscles? I'm telling you, man, these people like we're getting to a point where I actually did this thing. I'm gonna make this new video and it's gonna be about race. And I typed in the N word with the ER and I got 7 different results in my email from like years ago, people writing the same, bigoted crap over and over. And I was like, it's getting to a point with these people where you can literally you can put them in a box because they're all the same, which is why I started thinking it was the same guy just making a different account every time. And you can going off of this box or this trend, recognize what they're going to do next. So first they leave the antagonistic weird comment, right? Then the next thing they write is some attempt at making it seem like what they said wasn't as offensive as what it was. Oh, how does this help your life? It's like, so we can only discuss things if they forward a career. We're not allowed to just have a hobby or an interest. So, well, I wasn't saying that. It's like, no, we're responding to what you literally wrote, what was inferred by your first comment. Then, so after writing some antagonist, they try to dial it down a second. Then they try to up themselves. I'm an RN and I have badges. Then when you ask them for proof, they show no proof because they're actually a worthless piece of garbage. It isn't worth the piss. Because that's just what these people are. It's the same thing. They always talk about you're so redundant. You always talk about women. I talk about multiple things, but at the very least, I'm acknowledging my consistency. These people are the same thing. If you've seen one of these trolls, you've seen them all. They come on here, write weird stuff about things that don't matter or don't actually address what we're talking about. And then when they get banned, they try to pretend like they've somehow won or achieved this big victory, but they've stopped nothing. They've made themselves look stupid. And one of the reasons that they make these accounts with no pictures is because they're ashamed of the fact that they have to do stuff like this to get attention because they have no talents or anything else that would get them acknowledged by people or the general public. It's the same nonsense with these people. Why do these people have to keep showing up to write antagonistic stuff? What is the goal here? Because they're never going to have any attention in real life ever. They have no skills, they have no hobbies. Any career they claim they have, they don't show any proof of it. They're nothing. They're so insignificant. They have to harass a guy who usually can't even get 10 people to watch him on the stream. That's how like if I'm nothing, they're all the way down there. They're going straight to hell. I don't know what the purpose of that was. They just come and write weird stuff to try and get attention because they again in real life they get no attention. Mm. Akatsuki merch, I almost called you by your actual name. She was being condescending, generally being nasty. Just because we discuss an issue doesn't mean we're living destitute lives or we aren't successful people. My thing is this: I've been downtrodden, I've been unemployed at various points. But you know what? Again, at least I'm honest about the fact I'm not this big, amazing millionaire. And here's how you could. I'm not some scam artist. These people that come on here every time they don't show their face and they start telling you about if you want a girlfriend, do this. If you want to become a millionaire, do this. Always ask them for proof. Because if they're so damn successful, why are they watching me? Like, I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. She doesn't know anything about us or what we've accomplished, but some people get a life, get a little bit of success, and act like they've ascended to. But that's the thing. She showed no proof of. Listen, I can make an account right now and call myself, I don't know, Dick Balls, and I'm like, I am currently the CEO of this company in California. And then you say, okay, can you show us some proof that you're a CEO and maybe like your office or your staff? And I go, yeah, sure, if you invite me on your stream, but you can just make a video. Well, fine, clown. I don't need to. It's like, but you could just make a video. We're not stopping you from showing proof. Because seriously, it's the same thing where there was a guy who was talking about you should go to gym. I said, you have muscles? He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, show us proof. And it's been like 10, 11, 12 months. Still no proof. These muscles, where did they go? Because they sure as hell aren't on YouTube. I didn't block that person. I never block. If I ask them for proof, I never get rid of them until they show the proof. And if they're just writing weird garbage, we toss them out after that because that's a waste of everybody's time. It's quite uncommon to come across people on here that do content and are transparent in a similar way like you are. Well, I don't pretend to be something I'm not for the sake of entertaining people on a computer. Um, it's like it's so funny how the internet tries to punish people for actually like admitting things that bother them or that they have struggles with. Like if you can't get with a woman, it's your fault. If you are unemployed at any period, it's your fault. It's like it's always pointed back at. That's why I said that for a lot of the future romance stuff, I really do just want to have a picture of me on a cross as the picture that's used. But yeah, I don't have a problem with being transparent because I'm not ashamed of my record. I know that with these jobs I've applied to, I've shown my willingness to work. Even with these chicks, like we've spoken repeatedly about all the compromises that were made, and these pricks just never relent. A lot of them. So I don't feel bad about what I've done. That's why it's hard to make me try to like go, oh my god, I need to reflect and listen to this random person who themselves hasn't accomplished anything. Like I'm done with even attempting to impress people on here. I don't care because, like I said, most of the people online are even worth impressing to begin with. They've never accomplished anything themselves, which is why every time you ask them for proof, they never can show it. Without fail, that is the number one way to kill their opposition. Just ask them for some proof. Say, hey, can you show me? Just like, I mean, hell, if you said, oh, if I went into somebody's channel, which I would never do, something like, well, at least I've made a cartoon, and you say, hey, can you show us proof? There's a playlist of it on my channel. You can go watch it. Because on the internet, you can only portray yourself as a perfect person with no flaws and is very successful and never get mad, sad, or any other negative emotion. I told you that the weird thing is I've actually seen couples that have been married for 20, 30, 40 years. And it's so weird because it's like everyone online tries to tell you about all this confidence you need, but they'll either argue or basically no, like I hate the fairy tale crap because no one I've seen that's actually made it with having a partner and it lasted for a long time. That they have periods where they're not happy. But only online do people try to sell you this Disney World BS. It's so fake. Anyone can literally say anything, but where is the proof? They always fail to provide this constantly. Just a pattern they seem to all follow. Ironically, they talk about me doing the same thing every week. They do the same thing. They're literally all clones of each other. Like we should just start calling them stormtroopers instead of trolls because they're just all the same. If you hear some of the stuff people say on here, they try to sound like they're so amazingly successful. I'm just like, where? According to what? What metric are you using to claim this? Love is about deciding your life to another, about dedicating your life to another, and laying yourself bare with the trust of knowing they'd never hurt you. Well, fortunately, the way a lot of these chicks are in the current era, they hurt seems to be the only thing they know how to do. God, man, they are bad. Like the same thing over and over again. It's so funny how I've always said when people say I do the same thing or it's always the same stuff, you could say that about the chicks as well. Cause I mean, you go and you talk to them and what difference is there ever really? Like you start speaking to her, you try to get to know her, you ask what her interests are, she might ask you what your interests are back. And then after maybe a couple of weeks or months, uh, you say you're interested in her or you feel as if you are, but then she doesn't reciprocate. Sometimes even admitting this without actually having you ask her if she likes you or anything like that. And then you have to say, well, damn, and then start all over again. Like it's funny how like the stuff with the chicks is literally as repetitive as they would say any commentary on it. Yeah, because it's the same thing happening over and over again. And try to make me feel bad about not being with a woman. Like, sorry, this isn't me from 2013 or 14 anymore. I'm fully aware of the fact that online you have a whole bunch of guys with the same issue. So when you know there's a whole bunch of people with the same problem, it ceases to be a just you thing. It's like imagine living in a society where you have 30 guys trying to talk to a woman, and nobody's gonna say to the woman, "Hey, don't talk to all these men that you don't like. You're wasting everybody's time." Or hey, if you only like a couple of guys, maybe you should be the one that approaches them every once in a while. Every once in a decade, maybe you should say something to them first. Instead of the man always having to do everything just to maybe appease one of them. I think there are a few instances of it still being around, but yeah, for the most part, I can't. You know what the problem is? Modern chicks have a lot of fatal flaws, in my opinion. Like one of them is the flakiness, where if you ask some of them for a phone call or to send you a message, something like relatively minor that you even space out to allow for their schedule, they still won't actually do it. Another issue they have is the entitlement. So remember, women are good the way they are, but you need to change. You need to go to the gym. You need to be a millionaire. You need to up your status. And again, it's not worth it because most of these chicks don't have any of this stuff themselves. Um, Again, just the double standards really kill my interest in anything with them because when you know that people are going to blame you no matter what for what someone else does, there's nothing appealing about that. And like I said, if their allegation toward me, oh, you just want intercourse, is true, then I'll just go talk to a hooker. Like there really is no point in talking to regular chicks unless you think you can brave the storm. And like I said, I'm sure there's somebody that can do that, but I just don't have the patience to keep getting the same because if anything, they're getting worse. And that was another hypothesis I had where I had this one broad I've been talking to since October, and we're in like what early July now, and she has never had a phone call. Me refuses to have one. Went a whole month without saying to me, even though she wasn't upset with me. And I said, this is going nowhere. So I'm getting ready to cut that one off. Um, and like I said, the chick stuff is just it's so just unappealing. Like if you're a man, there's no reason to want to do anything with them. At least that's my view anyway. I'm not, and like I said, we're at a point now where every time somebody says, one day someone will like you, I laugh. Because it would have happened already. Like I said, I spoke to my father, I spoke to my grandfathers, my best friend spoke to his dad. None of them had to deal with 5, 10, or 15 years of getting nothing back from chicks. This is so bad that people, like members of my own family, don't even believe me when I say, yeah, we've tried repeatedly. They're not interested. Oh, it's really boring. How many times you talk to a woman and you're like, man, that was a great conversation. I really enjoyed talking to her. Almost never. And like I said, they wouldn't get criticized like this if you didn't have people trying to throw everything but the kitchen sink at me for my supposed failings. Like, imagine having people tell you that you must be boring to talk to and you're probably not. It's like, if you look at these chicks, what are they saying that's funny? When has a woman ever said something you were like, oh man, that was great. That was an amazing joke. I was laughing so hard. When? Like the one that came on this stream writing goof, if that actually was a woman, that wasn't funny. That was stupid and lame and terrible. God, she proved nothing by coming here. Except my point that these people have nothing to do with themselves. Seriously, when have you ever spoken to one of them and you were like, man, she was hilarious? Like, I really need to talk to her again. That was a great conversation. When? I'd love to know. You think I'm kidding, man? If I like that woman stuff has almost no redeeming qualities. Like between the gold diggers, um, the double standards, all the potential STDs you can get because you know these chicks will never tell you how many men they've been with. Like you know they'll never mention or admit that because they know that they're doing some achieving some disgusting feats. It's like who looks at this is like yeah I can't wait to do more of that. Like to hell with it. So I said this woman stuff is just it's so tragic in a way because it really could have been good if they didn't act the way that they do. It could have been all right. It could have been enjoyable, but instead, the reverse is true. It's really annoying, and no one likes talking to them. And I've said before, the only reason I believe most men talk to most modern chicks as similar as they are is because they want a date, and they know that if they don't speak to them, then that their chances of doing that are slim. Even though they're already slim if you speak to them because of how many men they talk to at once. You know what I mean? Like, and you gotta admit that's really sad when you think about it. Like, we were talking about the one chick that tried to argue with me over the romance position, like my views on it, and she like tried to argue with me, and it was really weird because there's nothing to do with her. And she said that she believed that every man that asked her out or showed interest in her just wanted intercourse. Like, isn't it sad that like you have this triangle between your legs, and you think it is so amazing, it is so just like something no one has ever seen before that every time a man talks to you and shows romantic interest in you, he's trying to get to it. It like this, like you have nothing to offer anybody besides what's in between your legs. Like, don't you think that's really sad from like a psychological perspective of like how they know that they're nothing without the triangle. They know that they have no talents, no interest that would even remotely make anyone want to talk to. You don't think that's like really pathetic? Just in terms of like their low self-esteem, their view of themselves. Because let me tell you something. There's nobody that talks to me because they think I'm hot. I've had this one guy I talk to, he's like going into his 90s. We talk about politics sometimes. But every time I get spoken to about something, it has to do with my actual views on things, my intellect, something that I actually had to foster and hone, versus something as arbitrary as a thing in between my legs that another billion people have, like, you get where that's like really depressing, that she is so convinced of her lack of worthiness as a human being that the only thing she has of any value is an organ, or I guess a vessel to produce children. That's really depressing. But like I said, there's a lot of guys that institute that weird stuff on men when they're like, uh, the one guy was like, "You're a mediocre man because you weren't able." It's like, dude, you haven't accomplished anything yourself. If I'm mediocre, then you're worthless. And remember, people online always tell you, he said this about this person. I don't say anything nasty about anybody until they say something about me. That is my number one policy. You say something nasty about me, you then it's all bets are off. And like I said, you look at some of the stuff people have written to me, and it's like I'm supposed to sit here and just be nice and not respond back, not ever get angry or uh, disillusioned with the whole process of trying to have a conversation relating to these things. Really, but yeah, she showed how little her actual, like, she's accomplished. And it's funny. It's like this is a person who's like 2 years removed from being out of college, a year removed from being out of college, and out of your 20 something years of living, the only thing you have that you believe anybody wants or is remotely interested in is what's in between your legs. That is so sad, man. That's God. But I guess you could say she's a product of a society that tries to teach chicks to like think that they're this higher being, and that is the only thing a man would ever want from one of them. So I guess that's just she's another byproduct of that. That's her number one talent. I think that's like there's something, maybe I don't have the words to say it, but there's something extremely depressing about that being like an actual belief system that she has. Because it tells you a lot more about her than these men that she's saying all want her for intercourse. You lack confidence. Hey, I'm not the one saying that people want to speak to me because of what's in between my legs. That's her doing that. No, it's so funny just to think about how people, they because I'm doing this romance video. I'm writing the script for right now, and it's going to talk about all the like contradictions. So they say that like the guys who get turned down by chicks probably have low self-esteem. I said, well, me getting sick of getting the same result over and over has nothing to do with whether I think I should have this or don't believe I can get it. Like it's all based around seeing a pattern and recognizing it and saying, yeah, this is not going to change based off of this pattern that any person with two eyes can deduce. But even then, it's like there are plenty of chicks that speak disparagingly of themselves, and they still have men attracted to them. That's why I don't believe that if someone doesn't believe in themselves or has self-esteem issues or whatever other psychological crap you want to assign to them, if another person thinks they're hot, it can be overridden. Now, of course, obviously, that could lead to relationship issues. But as far as being found attractive by somebody else, like you think if you saw some woman that you thought was hot and she goes, "Oh, I've been depressed for a year," you're gonna be like, Well, I no longer find her attractive. No, like so I said, man, chicks can do whatever they want and they have no consequence ever. Just it is it's really crazy how one sided it is. After endless wars and hours of work, men shouldn't have to show any confidence to any present female. Yeah, but it's like, why do you have to act one way all the time? Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I'm angry, sometimes I'm glad. Like I don't understand why you have to fit specifically into this. And dude, they scrutinize you so much. You say exactly why is this level of scrutiny only applied to one gender? Because they know that chicks, of course, they'll never admit it, can pretty much get a man no matter what they do. Um, so they believe like pretty much the way this works is they've made a system where chicks like don't approach men, so the men always have to approach chicks, which means that any chick you speak to at any given time that looks halfway decent can have like 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 guys swirling around her trying to get her attention. And these computer clowns have made a system where they want you to jump through a whole bunch of hoops supposedly to better your chances with a woman, even though it's a waste of time because if this stuff doesn't work, they're just going to blame you anyway. So you're basically taking the advice of people who are going to say that you and whatever version of you doesn't succeed, even the one that they assisted was not good enough for the woman because it's never the woman's fault. They're to blame for nothing. If they turn you down, it was your fault. If they don't want to speak to you, or something you said or some way you look, because it's everything is always the man's fault every time, no matter what. That's why I said I'm just so tired of this whole screwed up botched system. Yeah, they always come and write weird stuff during the. I think it happens more on Saturday than Monday. It's so sad that like they really made a system where only one gender benefits from it, and then like I really would love to ask them, why do you think I would want to still ask out women? Like I accepted the fact that there's a whole bunch of them who don't want children, which already makes it to where any long-term relationship with them is just not appealing to me because that was one of the stated goals of even being with one of those bastards to begin with. Um, so what other incentive would I have to show? Because remember, they always say, "Oh, you just want intercourse." Well, I can get that from a hooker. You pay them a price and they do it. So again, I ask, why would I, not talking about all men, just I, right, just me as an individual, be interested in still asking out chicks if I know that a bunch of regular chicks don't have the same long term goals that I want, even if you try to compromise with them, et cetera, et cetera. And any physical activity I can pay a price for, it just seems to me like there's really no purpose to, because we talked about this before, like we've tried repeatedly to just speak to them in a casual, friendly manner, again, with maybe with the purpose of trying to start something but it never works out. It's always you show interest in this person, they ignore you, they don't respond back, and you just say, when does it stop? Because remember, no matter how bad the woman is and how crappy she responds and how awful she is with actually talking to you, like actually having a back and forth discussion, it's going to be your fault regardless. So I ask once more, why would I want to ask out women with these things in mind? Keep them in mind. What incentive would I have? And the answer is none. If you don't ask out women, you'll never have children. Yeah, there are plenty of chicks who I didn't even date. I just asked them, do you want kids? They say no. So none whatsoever. If you want intercourse, hell, if you want a date, you can pay a hooker. Would you rather, and I've said this before, would I rather pay a hooker to do something for me at the latest over the course of a few days, or spend several months or weeks talking to some woman who more likely than not is going to say she's not interested in me? Talking about there are certain things you can, no, there's nothing you like regular chicks. I've asked them, they don't want to get married, they don't want to have kids. I have nothing I can get from them that remotely requires me to still ask them out. And I still want to make that video, the never ending accidental, like I swear to you, every single time someone in real life around me has a kid, it's by accident. I've seen at least five different pregnancies since I was a kid, like just different women I knew that, they got pregnant. And every time it was by accident. So you can't, and remember I said before that like if I had a family, it would have to be in like an actual stable environment, where you marry the mother and then you and the mother plot out having the kid, because like you save up and there has to be structure to it. If you don't have structure, then I have no incentive to even pursue this because I don't want to be someone's baby daddy. Oh, how were you born? Oh, by mistake. Like who the hell wants to do that? How is that a circumstance that anyone would find appealing? So again, I ask, what incentive is there? They deny you your dreams, the things you actually want to do, and all the physical stuff you can get from hookers. You can pay them a price, they do it. That's it. Like I'm shocked that people really are confused as to why I would say, yeah, I have no interest in talking to regular women anymore. And a lot of the ones I talk to, um, usually is just for the fun of it, and I know that sounds crazy because a lot of them aren't even that fun to talk to, but I don't speak to that many of them anymore. Yeah, exactly. Then again, a lot of these chicks don't have foresight for those kinds of things anyway. I'm telling you, man, every time one of them has a kid, since I've been alive, it's in real life, it's always by accident. And it's never with people that are married. Every time. Accident, accident, accident. Dude, I'm not even joking. It's easier to have a kid with a woman that you're not married to than it is to get married. God, like I'm I'm embarrassed that I'm part of a generation that actually thinks it's okay to just create lives with screwed up environments, or after you've done acted irresponsibly, you can decide to get rid of it so that you can retcon the fact that you did this out of existence. It's all about the thrill, mostly from what I've heard. Yeah, but remember, nobody sits here and criticizes these garbage parents that make kids they don't want by mistake when they have, all these alternatives to not have that be the case. But if you criticize chicks, we get our pitchforks and our protest signs and we come after you. What sense does that make? You look at Paulette, it's like, how about instead of coming to my stream to write weird stuff about how successful you think I am, why don't you go on Instagram or one of those other websites and tell those couples that show off their kid that's born out of wedlock that they didn't intend to have in the first damn place, hey, stop doing this. Are you guys actually going to save up for this kid to go to school? Are you going to stop having children you can't afford? God, like there's so much more important stuff going on than whether I criticize chicks or not. Of course, they won't say anything about it because it's actually considered more normal to have kids or get rid of kids, to have kids you can't afford to get rid of kids altogether, than to just criticize women. Like that's in their mind, it's more normal to kill somebody than to critique a woman. Like In their minds, that like makes sense to them. God, so much slander, so many attacks, and it's like all this hatred over a guy that just does a video. All the antagonism. What did he do? Oh, he made a video I didn't like about random women I've never even met. But again, people have convinced themselves that this is normal, so I shouldn't be too surprised. It's so funny where it's like, why don't you do something constructive? I was like, well, people, it's so stupid. People have conversations about things they don't agree on, or like just things in general all the time. Like where they just sit there and talk to each other. Like you can go on the Reagan Library's YouTube channel, and they have all these different diplomats and historians, and all they do is sit there and talk to each other about things they think were good or things they think were bad. And I'm like, if we sit here and just talk about nobody's attacking chicks, nobody's putting out their information, nobody's threatening to do any type of harm toward any of them. It's like, how is this not constructive? Like it's just people speaking about something that bothers them. I don't understand. God, they act like when you say I'm tired of chicks, one of them has a heart attack. It's so stupid, like gonna tell somebody to get a life. Are you serious? You're the one trolling, harassing people, and bothering them when they're not doing anything to you. But you want to try to say someone should go and do things that are productive. I'm an RN, yeah, and we've never called to question the integrity of historians or scientists. No, no, I'm not saying we shouldn't call their that like people shouldn't have different opinions. What I'm conveying is she tried to argue that critiquing women is not constructive. Like just sitting here and discussing is not, but that's what they literally do at these different forums. They go and they have some people sit together and they talk about some issue from the past or from before, and they just sit there and talk. Like I don't, and they no one says that's not constructive. So I said these people online are just ugh. I do a lot of constructive stuff. I draw, I write. I was actually almost done with this script for this documentary I've been doing. Um, I want to put it out next weekend. But it's like I can name multiple things I do that are constructive. It doesn't mean I'm not like that this isn't. It just doesn't require as much work. And hell, if I do a video about chicks and I show all the screenshots and evidence, that still is constructive because I mean, like I've been in classes before, for where you write an essay and you have to cite sources, you have to show proof, you have to give examples of the thing you're talking about. And sure enough, I see it as the same thing here. You do a video, you show proof, you have evidence. And I was younger before college became something that I couldn't pay because of how it costs so damn much. I actually did want to become a lawyer because I like the idea of proceedings and getting evidence and discovery where they go and look for things and just the arguments that were made. Um, and then trying to appeal before a jury of your peers. And while I don't think this is a substitute for it, it at least has some parallels. Like you show evidence, you try to appeal to people. Hey, does this make sense to you? So, man, if only school didn't cost so damn much. I'm telling you, one of my relatives tried to say they went to college in the like 80s and 70s. They actually tried to say it cost as much back then as now, and I laughed in front of their face. Oh, like that was the best joke I've heard in a while. Now, if you saw the disparity between the way how much these, and, I always have to explain to these douchebags. When I was 18, 19, I didn't have 4,000. It could be 12,000. It could be 30,000. I didn't have this amount of money. I just didn't. Like that's why I said this thing is so stupid to me. They want you to have amounts of money that no one, unless they're rich or assisted by their parents, would be able to pay off at the age that they require you to have this stuff for. Which is why I said they want you to take out loans so that you can be in debt for the next 10 or 20 years. Seriously, like if I did that scheme and played into it, I would be paying off debts until I was dead at the rate that stuff accumulates. There's nothing wrong with just discussing something that bothers you in a non-hostile way. It shouldn't warrant this huge antagonistic push from others to stop. Yeah, and it's like if they don't like it, they don't have to watch it. They act like they come on YouTube and my stream just crashes into their computer. Like, no, you choose to watch this stuff. If you've seen me do it before and you didn't like it, you had the option to not watch me back then and still have the option, but you keep coming back. I'm tired of you always just, I'm tired of you showing up. Don't come then. Why the hell are you here? That's why I said, man, people are so stupid. They always find a way to try and make it sound like you're making them do something. Like there's one guy, he makes videos I despise. Every one of his reviews, I think the points are not well structured. He doesn't give examples of what he's talking about. It's very generic. It's not he I just don't think he's a good reviewer. And I think a lot of the stuff that he craps on, I happen to enjoy. So because of that, I don't watch him. I let him sitting on his channel with his 20,000 subscribers, and it's just let them do what they want. I've never left a single comment on any of his videos. And I haven't been back to his channel in months. So I said it's if you really don't want to watch somebody on here, it's not hard to not watch them. But if you listen to these people, they act like they're dragged to my channel, like they're just pulled here. That's why I don't really have sympathy for them because I've had so many channels that are way bigger than me that I avoid and I don't watch. And no one ever, like actually sits here and tells me that, like, I'm talking about that they're just not hard to avoid. So when I see people who try to pretend that they are, I don't feel sympathy for them because I know that they're either not telling the truth or they're probably just they just want attention. That's always been the number one theory that they have nothing going on for themselves. So they have to come up with this stuff to make themselves feel better. It's like, well, I need somebody to do things and give me attention because I have none in actual real life. No, it's always so funny when they try to like make fun of me over the woman stuff. Like, dude, that's still like actually a thing. People try to make fun of somebody over that. Like, you know how many men don't have a woman to where there's whole groups of them? Really? Again, that stupid stuff used to work when I was in like ninth or 10th grade. And then I came online and I saw those romance groups. I was like, are you serious? But no, for me, I just got tired of like always having to just keep pretending, okay, this year it might be different. This year it might be different. But yeah, I got all the way up to my senior year in high school, and I was like, this hasn't changed at all. It's the same stupid thing every year. You talk to some woman or some girl, whatever, and she gives you what you think are hints. And then after speaking to her for weeks or months, nothing. So, I just said to hell with it. We're going to speak about this. We're not going to feel bad for talking the way that we do because people have spoken very nasty about me. Um, I remember when I was in ninth grade, there was this one chick. I was like, me and one of my classmates were just sitting together, and I told him that I liked her, and then He said, "Oh, you have no chance." And then him and one of my other classmates laughed. And I always thought to myself, I was like, I'll never believe that she's some supermodel. And I always think it's really weird that like men tell other men that a woman's not pretty enough for them. Like who the hell are you to even be making a choice like that for that person? But it reminded me of how like even back then, like here's a chick who has nothing that would make her exceptional. Okay, she's not particularly tall. I'd say she's not. I wouldn't call her ugly at all. I thought she was attractive, but it's like that's why I don't take that out of your league stuff seriously. Because no matter how little the chick has, and even if these guys don't see them, because we've been over this before, I've never shown any of their pictures on here whatsoever. They'll just infer or assume all of them are just these amazing supermodels, and that's why I said it's a waste of time to even take that stuff seriously. Like, just go up to the woman, ask her on a date. If she says no, then walk away. That's all. That's all we do now. Or I used to do, because, like I said, no one else's opinion on this really matters. So that's just my piece. Ugh. I'm still laughing at that gender war. They're like, oh, it's men versus women. I'm like, if it's men versus women, why am I being attacked for criticizing women by mostly other men? Like, wouldn't they be on my side if this is really a gender war? No, it's not men versus women. It's lies versus people. All these lies about how you need to have this and X, Y, and Z to get a date with the man. Take all that and just throw it. God, they drive me crazy with that stuff. They always pretend that they're like you're wrong if you notice how bad some of this stuff is. You don't want to talk to women anymore. It's like, yeah, I have a right to not speak to them if I feel like it's not getting any better, and speaking to them on like in and of itself isn't really that fun. Forget them. Just like today, I'm thinking of dropping two of them that I'm speaking to right now because it's not going anywhere, and they're not particularly interesting. They're not funny. And like I said, it just every time I talk to them, it just seems like a complete waste of time because they never want what you want. It's always the same stupid garbage, which is why I said every time somebody tries to tell me, eventually a woman will like you, I laugh. It's not happening. They say, oh, you're black pill. I'm like, I'm not any damn pill. I just recognize a pattern which they can break whenever they want, but they're like stormtroopers, so they all have the same position. Um, and I just go off the pattern. I say, hey, look, year after year, same thing. We can infer next year's gonna be the same thing. So they'll call you negative, but you're just realistic. You had basic pattern recognition skills and you saw that something was staying the exact same every year. It's really not that hard of a pattern to recognize if you actually try to be objective and see things for what they are instead of having um, a whole bunch of optimism for no reason. It's like, I believe this will change for you. According to what? I believe this. It's like you can believe whatever you want. I could believe tomorrow I will come across a wallet with $50,000, but it's it's like it doesn't mean anything. You can like believing stuff and then it actually happening are two different things. God, people just I remember that one lady on Reddit, she was like, I'm hopelessly optimistic, or I am what's that phrase she used? I'm an eternal optimist. I'm like, yeah, that's really cute to write on paper, but I'm the one that actually has to live through the crap. So can we get something that actually will happen? Can we get an opinion based off of reality? Oh man, had to open the window. It was getting hot in here. I closed the window because that person earlier was playing that loud music. But yeah, don't let anyone on here ever convince you that because you're not with a woman, there's something wrong with you and you should feel bad. Because like I said, they're doing this to almost everybody. Like I mentioned before, I had classmates who I wasn't even close with or friendly. I'm not going to say friendly, but I wasn't close with in high school that reached out to me. Were like, "Oh yeah, I feel the same way about chicks," because everybody knows there's something wrong with a lot of them, especially the modern ones, the ones in their 20s and 30s. They're terrible. Um, and it's so funny how relationships are supposed to be enjoyable. They're supposed to be something you want to do because you actually like being with this person. But this isn't this stuff today isn't about love or actually liking somebody. It's all strategic simulation crap. Oh, who has the most money? Are you able to satisfy her romantically? It's like all of it is just trash. You have this, do you own that? Do you look this way? Like to hell with it. And like I said, the only reason that this is happening to men is because chicks were encouraged to never ask out men that they think are attractive, and they get approached by a bunch of men who, if they didn't approach, would probably have no woman show interest in them ever. But again, it's not because they're lesser human beings than chicks on average are. They just don't have a vagina, which is why they don't get the reward of getting to sit there in their little rinky dink castle and wait for a man to show up and ask them out. And they're in their supposed equal, everything is fair and balanced feminist society. People on the internet just want to pretend to be an authority on something. They're such worthless degenerates who've never accomplished anything, but they feel the need to feign authority. Yeah, they're like, oh, you have to ask yourself, why would a woman want to date you? Like, what? Why the hell do I have to ask myself that? When do I get to ask? Why would I want this woman? What does she have to offer me besides a triangle that another billion something people have? God, they act like chicks are these gods among men, and they're not. There are some chicks that are very accomplished. We've talked about there are actresses that get paid millions of dollars, world famous. Even some chicks that have been the first, in different fields. But most of these chicks, you've never heard of them. They don't own anything, and for some reason, people prop them up like they're just this um this thing you can never hope to get anywhere near. And it's total BS. The only reason most of these chicks are treated that way is because of their gender. That's it. And if you want to stop talking to them, you're not allowed to, because they think you're supposed to be somebody's slave. Which is why I said they want to repeal the Emancipation Proclamation. Like this girl was trying to tell me that no one puts effort into the way they dress and that no one dresses correctly. Yeah, like who the hell is she to decide that? When did she become Gianni Versace? Like, what the hell? But man, I'm telling you, don't let people on here convince you, oh, the woman is so great and poor I am not able to satisfy her desire. To hell with that. Because remember, the only reason they get treated the way that they do is because of their gender. They've turned regular chicks, like asking out a regular woman is pretty much the equivalent of asking out a celebrity woman, where you're supposed to do all this stuff to appeal to her. Um, except in this case, nobody even knows who this broad is, but she has like 20 or 30 different guys talking to her on some website. And so this one chick was like, "Not every woman has all these." It's like, yeah, I'm sure there are some exceptions, but the problem is, one, you don't even know how many men she's talking to because most of them will not tell you how many other men that she's speaking to. Um, but it's like, no, dude, they exposed themselves. I showed the screenshots where you had the one that had 50 guys send her a message on Reddit without even seeing what she looked like. And I was like, I'm supposed to look at that and go, I have a chance. I can be the 51st guy and show interest in her in a way that the other get out of my face. Have to do all that for some woman that nobody ever heard of. I bet if I said her name on stream right now, everybody in the comment section would say, "Who the hell is that?" If I said right now, her name is, and then I say the name, I read off a piece of paper, you'd be like, "Who? Huh? What?" Unless you're trolling. Yeah, they don't like being exposed. They don't like you knowing about the fact that they have uh, sometimes 10, 20, 30 guys waiting in the back wings. Like, I'm going to be the next person she has a call with. And dude, what's worse is if you add up the ones that they get asked out by in real life. Because remember, the one chick on Reddit, she didn't even go out with any of the guys that sent her a message. Remember, she didn't go. She had 20 something guys respond to her to where she said she had so many messages, and then didn't even go out with any of them. She went out with some guy in real life. Yeah, they are being exposed. They don't like that. They don't like all their secrets being revealed, all the little tips and tricks. Just like a lot of those chicks on those dating websites, they're on that site for a totally different reason than men are. Men are on that site because they never get asked out by chicks. They feel like they have to expand their pool of, clients or of different, like they're on there to actually meet a woman that they are mutually attracted to. Chicks go on there because they decide no guy in real life is good enough for them. And then when they get sent like 10, 20, 30 different messages by men without having to lift a finger, they decide that 27, 28, 29 of those guys aren't good enough for them either. So men are on there because they're desperate, because they don't get any attention from chicks in real life. Chicks are on there because they get all the attention in the world and get to be extremely picky to where nobody can live up to their unrealistic fantasy. Again, don't ever let someone convince you that, like, if you're not with a woman, there's something wrong with you. Because these chicks are there's no reason why they should be the barometer for who's good and who isn't. Like I said, you had chicks that date serial killers and rapists and all the. It's like, and you're gonna sit here and tell me about they have certain. Get out of my face. You had a woman get married to Hitler, and you're gonna tell me that I'm not good enough for the sanctity of the vagina. Go somewhere with that. Seriously, it's an extremely dangerous mindset to be convinced that, like, you're not good enough for. But even if you supposedly weren't, it has nothing to do with you as a person. Because, like I said, they're doing this to all these different guys who are different from each other. That's how I saw. That's how I knew that when it came to this woman stuff, there was nothing wrong with me, because they do this to plenty of men who don't look like me, don't act like me. Same results. And they're gonna sit here and lie and tell you about the how you need to do. No, what needs to happen is men need to stop asking chicks out and have them approach for once, and then tell all these guys that are trying to sit here and make you feel bad to go to hell, along with these chicks they claim are so great and amazing. Man, I can't wait to be so accomplished that random women start approaching me. That's the ultimate pinnacle of being successful. People on the internet act like because something is different from the way they like it, that thing is bad or wrong, and the world would be a better place if it was done their way. Selfish prick. Yeah, because they don't. It's so funny how, like, we're supposed to believe chicks are different. Everybody says not all chicks are the same, but then they want all men to be the same. They want them all to act the exact same way. You can't have any variances. You can't just not be interested in asking out chicks until you die, like they want you to. You think that's ironic? Oh, chicks are not all the same, but all men should be the same. Told you, I'm just tired of the double standards. I feel like any normal person would be sick of that as well. You have to do everything and anything to appeal to some broad, but then she gets to sit there and have this triangle, and she's perfect. Don't try to tell her to improve anything. Get out of my face. Can't have your cake and eat it too. Yeah. Told you, you can't have equality, which is something that a lot of these chicks say they want, right? But then also have a bunch of men asking out women and no women ever asking out men. Told you, if things were really equal, you would see whole groups of chicks. Oh man, I never got asked out by a man before. You would see men on their page. No, not men on their page. Excuse me, women on their page. You need to go to the gym and exercise. Blah, blah, blah. You would actually see them being held to the same standards, which I don't even think are that fair because I just refuse to believe that you should have to transform just to go on a date with somebody of the opposite gender. And we know damn well that chicks don't have to do that because, like I said, if I broke my rule and showed all the overweight or not rich chicks that have a boyfriend that are on Facebook posting pictures of their amazing man that they're with that accepts them for who they are, as I'm told increasingly, you have to be this specific type of. I mean, it's a parody of itself. Can they not see how unfair, incredibly unfair this is towards guys? Well, I'm sure they could probably see it if they actually cared. But remember, when people aren't affected by things, they don't give a damn. Like I see people cooking dishes in types of ways, and I don't get mad about it because I have the emotional maturity to know that it's okay for someone to do something a different way. Yeah, if they cook it a different way, you don't have to eat it. It's not the end of the world just because someone decided to cook a dish in a different way. No, the reason that they see it and don't say anything is because it doesn't affect them. They're see, if you're a woman and you're a selfish bastard, like a lot of them are, which is why they keep having these kids that they throw away because it's inconvenient to them. You can see a whole bunch of men getting rejected and feel nothing because it doesn't affect you. You can say, "Wow, all these men are getting turned down by women over and over, year after year. Oh, this man wanted to have a family, and now he's so despondent. He just accepted it'll never happen. Wow. Oh well." Because again, they can have kids whenever they want. They get men asking them out, sometimes multiple times a month, sometimes every week, sometimes every day, online and in person. So they have no idea what it is like to live that hell on earth where you're wondering every year if you're ever going to meet somebody and then being harassed by douchebags on the computer who've never proved that they've seen a single vagina outside of a porn magazine, pretending that they're so successful and trying to give you all this unsolicited advice. And then when you say, "Hey, look, I'm not interested," they try to attack you and harass you year after year. They have no idea what any of that is like. Because remember, when chicks say they want to talk to men, nobody goes after them. Nobody says, "You need to improve yourself. And if you're not with a man, you are a mediocre." What? You don't see that crap. At every avenue, they get accepted for who they are. If they want to sit home and make a bunch of kids with some guy, nobody complains. If they want to not get married and just have some career, nobody complains. It's only if you're a man that if you don't follow this stringent set of rules that these people have laid out for you, then there's something wrong with you. Even though it's been fairly established, you can't make somebody like you. Told you the main reason these people never bring up the fact that there are a lot of chicks, and they'll never admit it because remember we said before it doesn't sound good in today's era, who won't date someone of a certain ethnicity, is because that's them admitting, yeah, there are external factors that you can't do anything about. Like, let's say you go to a gym, I'll give you an example of myself. Let's say I go to a gym and I exercise and I get this amazing car, and then in 2 years I ask out a woman and she says, "Oh, I don't date men that are of African descent." Well, then I'm screwed. Everything I did was a waste of time. And remember, you'll ask out chicks who will turn you down, who have that same reasoning, but they're not going to tell you because they know that that sounds racist. That's why I said these people pretend that stuff doesn't exist, all the while leaving bigoted comments on my channel that we've screenshotted and saved, by the way, to further their narrative that if you just try hard enough, you can make any woman like you or most women like, and it's total garbage, complete trash. They always try to leave out the external factors to peddle their stupid exactly. That's why you won't see them mention the chicks that won't date certain men of different races. That's why you won't see them mention the chicks that have 5, 10, 15, 20 guys trying to talk to her at once. That's why you won't see them mention the chicks that pretend they don't have a boyfriend for until after they've spoken to you for like a month or weeks because they know nobody wants to talk to a woman that has a man or a male partner. I mean, all this stuff they like to pretend is not happening because it hurts their stupid narrative. Being able to acknowledge, hey, this guy couldn't have done anything about that. That woman was already with somebody, or she was already eyeing this other man. You'll never see them give you that fairness ever. Told you, I spoke to a Muslim woman who, they can't date or at all, period, and they can only marry, or I guess be romantically involved in a union with someone of the same religion. So you see how that's another external factor where you have someone who says they like you, but they can't marry you because you're not of the same religion as they are. And then you offer to become that religion and they still say no. And then you get pissed, as I did. Um, so you see how those are four external factors that you will never see come out of these shoe shining, boot licking clowns' mouths ever. You will never see them acknowledge any of this stuff as happening. Not once. Four external factors that just it's like it doesn't even exist. So I told you, man, people online, it's not hard to destroy their points and make them look stupid. They're not thinking, they're writing weird crap to get attention. And it's easy to tear this stuff down because it's mindless drivel. And a lot of times when you have these different commentators, especially the female ones, the only reason anybody takes them seriously is because they think they're hot. That's it. Not because they made these great points and they've said things that are so profound and people never thought of it. That no, because there are different men that think they're attractive and they watch them because they think they're hot and they get a bunch of views that way. So don't let anybody convince you that you should feel bad about not being one of these chicks in the modern era, because a lot of them aren't worth the piss anyway. So thanks for watching Megumi, Kotsky Merchant, and I'll stream again on Monday. So have a good rest of your weekend.